How to stay strong. When life gets hard takes the listener on a visceral journey, from the depths of despair to the summit of self-mastery. It begins with loss, confusion, and emotional collapse, then slowly rebuilds the listener through discipline, faith, and purpose. The story mirrors life's natural rhythm. Break, rebuild, rise. By the end, pain no longer feels like punishment but proof. Proof of growth, proof of life, proof of power. The listener walks away not just stronger but transformed, unbreakable in both mind and spirit. Introduction. Life will test you. It will push you to the edge and wait to see if you'll fall or fight. The truth no one tells you early enough is that strength is not something you're born with. It's something you forge in moments when you'd rather run. There are days when you'll question everything. Your purpose, your worth, your ability to keep going. There are nights when your thoughts won't let you sleep, when silence feels louder than chaos, and when you realize that no one is coming to pull you out. And it's in those moments, in the quiet after the breakdown, that life whispers the hardest truth. Pain is not the enemy. Avoiding it is. You've been taught to chase comfort, to stay safe, to keep things easy. But ease has never built anything strong. You cannot grow in a world padded by comfort. You grow in resistance, in friction, in the battle between what you want and what you fear. Hard times are not punishment. They are invitation. They are life's way of asking, will you rise or will you retreat? The ones who rise are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who decide that falling doesn't mean finished. When the world turns cold, when doors close, when people disappear, strength begins not in defiance, but in acceptance. The acceptance that this is your moment to build yourself. You will face storms that seem endless, heartbreak that tears your identity apart, and silence that makes you feel forgotten. But understand this. Every storm runs out of rain. Every night gives way to dawn. What determines who you become is not how much you suffer, but how you respond when suffering calls your name. Most people run. They numb. They distract themselves with noise, with endless scrolling, with excuses dressed as reasons. But you are different. You're here because something inside you knows there's more to you than the pain you've survived. You know that inside every hardship lies the seed of power. You know that endurance is sacred. Strength doesn't appear in the moment you win. It grows in the hours you refuse to quit. It's built in silence, when no one claps, when no one sees, when progress feels invisible. It's built when you get up again, not because you feel strong, but because you promised yourself you would never stop showing up. That's what life is demanding of you now. Not perfection, not constant confidence, just the quiet courage to keep walking through the storm. There's something raw about struggle. It strips away the unnecessary. It reveals who you really are beneath the surface, beyond the filters, beyond the masks. When everything falls apart, you meet yourself for the first time. You see what remains when comfort is gone. You realize that strength was never about pretending you're unshakable. It's about being honest enough to admit when you're breaking and still choosing to move. There is beauty in that kind of honesty. It's the beginning of real power. Every person you admire has walked through their own fire. They've been doubted, abandoned, tested, and torn apart. What sets them apart is not luck, it's endurance. They chose to stay in the fight when escape looked easier. They chose growth over comfort, truth over illusion, purpose over pleasure. And that's the same choice waiting for you. To stop asking why life is hard and start asking, who can I become because of it? You don't become strong by avoiding pain. You become strong by facing it, feeling it, and finding meaning within it. Life will break your illusions before it builds your truth. It will take from you everything that was never meant to stay. You will lose people, plans, and versions of yourself, and that loss will hurt. But pain is not just a teacher, it's a sculptor. It's carving away everything that's soft, everything that's weak, everything that keeps you from standing tall. You are being shaped, not shattered. You will want to give up. There will be days when you wake up tired of fighting, when your motivation is gone, and the voice in your head whispers, "What's the point?" But those are the days that define you. Those are the days when strength becomes real. Anyone can move when life feels light. But when everything in you screams to stop and you still take one more step, that's power. That's resilience. That's how you build a life no storm can destroy. The truth is, you can't control what happens to you. You can't control who stays or who leaves, what doors open or what dreams collapse. But you can always control who you are in the middle of it. That's where freedom lives. Not in avoiding pain, but in mastering your response to it. Life isn't asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to face fear with your eyes open. It's asking you to replace blame with responsibility, resistance with adaptation, and hopelessness with faith. Faith that something greater is being written through you, even when you can't read the pages yet. Every hardship has a hidden message. You are still capable. The fact that you're still standing means something inside you refuses to die. Maybe you don't feel strong now. Maybe you're tired, unsure, overwhelmed. But the strength you're looking for isn't missing. It's waiting for permission to rise. Pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. It means you still care. It means you still have something to fight for. And if life has taken everything familiar from you, then it's giving you a chance to rebuild from truth, not illusion. You are not starting over. You are starting deeper. There will come a time when you look back and realize that the moments you thought were ending, you were actually shaping you. That every closed door redirected you. That every lonely night strengthened your resolve. You'll see that resilience wasn't born in comfort. It was born in chaos. And you'll understand that staying strong isn't about pretending to be invincible. It's about believing you can rebuild, no matter how many times you're broken. You may not see the light right now, but one day you'll thank the darkness for teaching you how to find it. So this is where we begin. With truth. Life will break you if you let it, but you are not here to surrender. You are here to rise. You are here to learn the art of staying calm in chaos, the discipline of standing tall when the world shakes, the courage to keep faith when everything feels uncertain. You are here to transform pain into wisdom, wounds into weapons, scars into symbols of survival. You are not here to merely survive the storm. You are here to become it. Because strength is not built in the easy days. It's built when you refuse to be defeated by the hard ones. And as you move through this journey, you will come to understand that every test you face is proof that you're still in the fight. Life's weight is not meant to crush you. It's meant to build the muscle of your soul. And once you understand that, once you see that every fall is a lesson, every setback a signal, every loss an invitation to grow, nothing will ever break you the same way again. So take a deep breath. Let the noise fade. Let the fear pass through. This is your new beginning, the rebirth of your resilience. You are stepping into the chapter where pain becomes power and weakness transforms into will. The world won't get easier, but you will get stronger. And from this moment on, your story changes, not because life softens, but because you do not. You rise, you rebuild, and you remember, you are stronger than what tried to break you. Chapter 1. When the world turns cold. There comes a point in every life when the world turns cold. It doesn't happen all at once, it creeps in quietly. One day the warmth you relied on disappears. The people you counted on become distant. The plans you built begin to crumble. You wake up and realize that what once made sense no longer fits, that the world you knew has shifted beneath your feet. It's in that silence, in that strange stillness after chaos where you first feel the chill of isolation. You begin to understand that life isn't always about light. Sometimes it's about learning to see in the dark. At first, you fight it. You keep reaching for the warmth that used to be there. The familiar voices, the comforting routines, the illusion that everything is under control. You tell yourself it's temporary, that the people who left will come back, that the pieces will fall back into place. But the truth is harsher. Some things never return. Some people leave and never look back. And when they do, it's not to stay. It's to remind you that nothing lasts forever. That's when the real cold begins. It's not just the absence of love or support. It's the weight of realizing you're on your own. You feel it in your chest, the heaviness that doesn't go away. You try to distract yourself, but the silence finds you. You scroll endlessly, trying to drown the ache with noise. But no matter how loud the world gets, the quiet inside you remains. It's not emptiness. It's exposure. It's life showing you what's left when everything unnecessary is stripped away. It's the moment you see yourself without the masks, without the roles, without the validation. It's raw, uncomfortable, and brutally honest. Most people run from this part. They mistake numbness for healing. They shut down, pretending they're fine, pretending they don't care. But deep down they do. Pain doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It waits. It waits for the night you can't fake a smile anymore. It waits for the day you stop distracting yourself long enough to feel. And when it hits, it's heavy. It's cold. It's the kind of pain that makes you question everything. But that's where transformation begins. Not in the pretending, but in the feeling. When the world turns cold, your heart becomes your last source of warmth. It's the only thing left that's real. You can't hide behind busyness or blame. You can't escape into what was. You're forced to face yourself, the real you, not the version you've been performing for others. And that's terrifying, but it's also sacred. Because the person you meet in that cold silence is the one who will rebuild you. You'll start to notice how much of your strength was borrowed, how often you needed someone else to believe in you before you believed in yourself, how often you needed to be seen to feel worthy. When life strips that away, it's not cruelty, it's correction. It's life saying, you've depended on everything but your own fire. The cold is not punishment, it's a test. It's asking, will you create warmth within yourself, or will you freeze waiting for someone else to bring it? This is where most people give up. They turn bitter. They close their hearts and decide it's safer not to feel. They build walls so high that no one, not even light, can reach them. But if you're still listening, if you're still reading, you're not meant to stay frozen. You're meant to thaw. You're meant to rise. You're meant to learn that feeling deeply is not weakness. It's your greatest source of power. Because when you feel fully, you awaken. You start to see the truth. Pain doesn't destroy you. It wakes you up. Think about the times you've grown the most. They didn't happen when everything was easy. They came after heartbreak, failure, rejection. They came when you thought you had nothing left. That's the paradox of strength. It's born in the places that hurt the most. The cold doesn't come to end you. It comes to refine you. It removes what's fake, what's fragile, what's unnecessary. It teaches you to find warmth not in circumstances, but in character. You stop waiting for life to be kind, and you start becoming kind despite it. In this frozen season, you will learn who truly stands with you. When the noise fades, when you have nothing to offer but your authenticity, the real ones stay. Everyone else drifts away, carried by the wind of convenience. It hurts to watch them go, but that pain is freedom. Every person who leaves teaches you to depend less on others and more on yourself. You stop measuring your worth by who chooses you, and start measuring it by how deeply you choose yourself. That shift, that quiet, invisible shift, is where real strength begins. There's a point where the numbness begins to crack. You start feeling again slowly. A flicker of warmth appears, small but undeniable. It's the moment you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You stop resisting reality and begin engaging with it. You start moving again, not because it's easy, but because standing still hurts more. You realize that the only way to bring warmth back is to move toward it. That's how strength begins, not with a roar, but with a whisper. Keep going. As you walk through this cold, your perspective changes. You stop fearing loss because you've already survived it. You stop fearing loneliness because you've met yourself in the silence and discovered you're not as fragile as you thought. You learn that solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the space where you rebuild your identity, where you reconnect with what's real. The cold becomes less of an enemy and more of a mirror, reflecting who you are becoming. Every breath you take in this season is building something invisible, a quiet kind of resilience. You begin to move differently, speak differently, think differently. You stop chasing people who don't see you. You stop forcing things that aren't meant for you. You start honoring your energy, your peace, your truth. The world may still feel cold, but you've learned how to carry fire inside you. That's the beginning of freedom. And one day, without noticing, you'll wake up and realize the air feels different. The same world that once froze you now feels like fuel. You'll look back and see that every lonely night, every unanswered call, every silent morning was shaping you. You were never abandoned. You were being equipped. The cold didn't destroy you, it forged you. It taught you to rely on what can't be taken. Your discipline, your faith, your will. You stopped waiting for light and became it. So when the world turns cold again, and it will, you won't panic. You'll remember what it taught you. You'll remember that you've been here before, and you've already learned how to survive. You'll breathe. You'll center yourself. And instead of running, you'll stand still long enough to listen. You'll hear the wind whispering through the quiet, reminding you that the cold always passes, that no season lasts forever, that the fire inside you burns stronger now because it had to. This chapter of your life isn't about pretending you're unshakable. It's about learning to stand in the storm and trust your roots. It's about allowing yourself to feel what you've spent years avoiding. It's about understanding that numbness is not protection, it's paralysis. And healing begins the moment you choose to thaw. You are not weak for breaking down. You are human. You are not failing because you feel lost. You are growing through the dark. Every winter eventually gives way to spring, and you, no matter how cold the world becomes, will bloom again. So let the world turn cold. Let the warmth fade. Let everything you depended on fall away, because beneath the frost, something unshakable is awakening. You are learning to draw heat from your own soul, to find peace in your own silence, to trust the strength you didn't know you had. And when the next storm comes, you won't hide. You'll meet it with calm eyes and a steady heart. Because once you've learned to stand in the cold without losing yourself, there's nothing left to fear. The cold no longer defines you, it reveals you, and that's the first flame of real strength. Chapter 2. The breaking point. There comes a night when the weight becomes too much. The world feels heavy, the air thick with thoughts you can't silence. You sit there staring at the floor, the wall, the dark ceiling, wondering how much more you can take. Every part of you wants to let go. The promises you made to yourself, the hope you've carried, the quiet faith that things would get better. It all feels fragile now, like glass cracking under pressure. You whisper to yourself, "I can't do this anymore." And for a moment, you believe it. That's the breaking point. That's the moment where strength stops being a concept and becomes a choice. Breaking doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's not loud or violent, it's quiet. It's the moment you stop pretending. The moment you drop the mask, sit in the silence, and admit, "I'm tired." It's not weakness to reach this place. It's human. It's where illusions die and truth begins. Because before you rebuild, you must confront what's been holding you hostage. The weight of expectations, the fear of failure, the idea that strength means never falling apart. That's the lie you must let go of first. You were never meant to carry everything alone. The world told you to stay strong, to keep smiling, to push through. But real strength isn't about holding it together. It's about knowing when to release what's breaking you. It's about surrender, not to defeat, but to truth. There's a difference between collapsing and surrendering. Collapse is when you give up. Surrender is when you give over. When you finally stop resisting reality and allow life to teach you what it's been trying to show you. One destroys you. The other transforms you. At the breaking point, your thoughts race. You replay every mistake, every loss, every disappointment. You ask yourself what you did wrong. You wonder why the pain doesn't end. But the truth is, the breaking point is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the universe pulling you back so you can be launched forward. It's the tension before transformation. Pain is not here to hurt you. It's here to show you what still needs to heal. Every tear you shed is water for something new trying to grow. Every sleepless night is clearing space for a new kind of peace. It hurts because you're shedding layers. You're letting go of control, of perfection, of needing life to look the way you imagined. The human mind hates uncertainty. It craves stability, familiarity. But growth demands disruption. You can't become who you're meant to be while clinging to who you were. The breaking point strips you of the false strength you've been using to survive. It takes everything that's fake and fragile and forces you to stand on what's real. You might not realize it now, but this pain is sacred. It's the kind of pain that humbles you, that forces you to listen. You begin to notice how much of your suffering comes from resistance. Resisting what is. Fighting against change. Trying to control outcomes that were never yours to control. When you stop fighting, something shifts. The chaos doesn't disappear, but you start to see through it. Clarity doesn't arrive in a thunderclap. It comes quietly, in the stillness that follows surrender. You see, life breaks you down not to end you, but to rebuild you with truth as the foundation. You've been trying to carry everything, every expectation, every fear, every doubt, and now you're being asked to let go. Not because you're weak, but because carrying it all was never your task. Your task is to endure, to learn, to rise. The pain isn't punishing you. It's preparing you for the version of yourself that can no longer be shaken by what once destroyed you. Think about it. Metal only becomes stronger after it's been through fire. Muscles grow only after being torn. Diamonds form under pressure. So why would you expect your soul to be any different? Breaking is part of becoming. It's not the opposite of strength, it's the birthplace of it. But in order to see that, you must stay long enough in the pain to find the message it carries. Most people run before they reach the lesson. They numb themselves, distract themselves, build new walls. They start over too soon and the pattern repeats. But not you. Not this time. This time you'll stay until you understand. When everything inside you screams to escape, stay still. When your mind races, breathe. When your heart breaks, don't rush to fix it. Let it break fully. Let it shatter the illusions that kept you small. Let it reveal what's real and what's not. The mind wants to escape. The soul wants to experience. Breaking isn't failure, it's truth revealing itself. It's the soul demanding authenticity. And here's what you'll notice. After the breakdown, there's silence. A strange, heavy peace. It's not happiness, it's emptiness, but an honest kind. That silence is your soul resetting. It's what happens when you finally stop forcing, stop pretending, stop running. It's uncomfortable because you're not used to it. You've built your life around motion, around fixing, around controlling. But in stillness, you begin to see clearly. You begin to realize that everything you've been chasing, approval, success, certainty, was never the real goal. The real goal was freedom, and freedom only comes when you're brave enough to let go. In that stillness, you hear a whisper. It's faint, but it's there. You can start again. That's the turning point. You open your eyes and see the same world, but with new understanding. You realize that life hasn't been against you. It's been training you. Every heartbreak was strengthening your heart. Every failure was sharpening your focus. Every loss was clearing space for something better. The pain wasn't random. It was refining you. It was carving you into someone who no longer breaks the same way twice. The breaking point doesn't mean you failed. It means you've reached the edge of your old self. The part of you that couldn't carry what's next has done its job. Now it's time to release it. That's why it hurts. It's death and rebirth at once. You're shedding identities, expectations, fears. You're stepping into a self that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to chase, doesn't need to be seen. That's what strength looks like. It's not loud. It's grounded. It's steady. It's the quiet knowing that you can endure whatever comes next because you already survived what was meant to break you. So, take this moment seriously. The breaking point isn't a curse. It's a crossroads. You can let it turn you bitter, or you can let it make you brave. You can close your heart tighter, or you can open it wider. You can surrender to despair, or you can surrender to growth. The choice is always yours. No one can walk this stretch for you. No one can hand you peace. It's earned in the fire of your own experience, and when you do rise, and you will, you'll carry something different in your eyes. People will see it before you speak. It's the quiet confidence of someone who's been to the bottom and learned how to build from it. It's the kind of power that can't be taken because it's rooted in understanding. You'll no longer fear breaking because you'll know what comes after. You'll know that endings are beginnings in disguise. Remember this. Every time life breaks you, it's giving you a chance to rebuild stronger. Every time you fall apart, it's an invitation to come back wiser. Don't rush the process. Don't run from the pain. Sit with it. Learn from it. Let it remake you. Because the version of you that emerges from the breaking point will be unstoppable. Not because life stopped being hard, but because you stopped being afraid of it. The night always feels longest before the dawn, but dawn always comes. The moment you accept that, the darkness loses its power. Pain doesn't disappear, it transforms, and so do you. The same energy that once destroyed you becomes the energy that drives you. You start to see that every hardship was a lesson in disguise. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. That's defiance. That's resilience. That's power. And as you stand there on the edge of what was and what will be, you'll understand something simple yet life-changing. You were never breaking down. You were breaking open. The pieces that fell away weren't meant to stay. The cracks that formed weren't flaws. They were openings for light to enter. You'll walk away from the breaking point not shattered but shaped, not defeated but defined. So when life pushes you to your knees, don't fight it. Don't curse the pain. Breathe into it. Because it's not there to destroy you. It's there to introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. The one who can stand in the fire and smile, not because it doesn't burn, but because you finally understand what the fire is for. Chapter 3. The Enemy Within. The hardest battles are not fought in the world outside you. They are fought in silence, behind your eyes, in the endless noise of your own thoughts. You wake up and it's already there. That quiet voice that tells you you're not enough, that whispers you'll fail again, that mocks your effort before the day even begins. It's the voice you've learned to trust without realizing it. The one that sounds like reason, but feeds on fear. The one that wears your face but doesn't want your freedom. That is the enemy within. You can't escape it. You carry it everywhere, into every room, every conversation, every dream. It lives in your hesitation, in the way you shrink when you should rise. It knows your history. It knows your insecurities. It knows exactly how to make you question your worth. And the cruelest part? It speaks in your own voice. It sounds familiar, convincing, logical. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't need to attack you directly. It just needs to make you doubt yourself enough to stop trying. That's how the enemy wins. Not by defeating you in battle, but by convincing you to surrender before the fight begins. Every time you hesitate, every time you choose comfort over courage, every time you silence your instincts to please others, the enemy within grows stronger. It feeds on your self-criticism. It thrives when you compare your journey to someone else's. It grows when you replay past mistakes until they define you. You think the world is against you, but most days, it's you who stands in your own way. We all have that voice. The difference between those who fall and those who rise is not whether the voice exists. It's whether you learn to command it. You can't destroy your inner critic, but you can strip it of authority. The goal isn't silence. It's sovereignty. Awareness is the first weapon, because once you can see the enemy clearly, it loses its power to hide. You begin to recognize the pattern, the self-sabotage disguised as logic, the fear dressed up as caution, the guilt that keeps you small because you've confused humility with self-hate. Your mind is a master manipulator. It remembers every wound and replays it as proof that you're not ready, not worthy, not enough. But here's the truth. Those wounds were never meant to define you. They were meant to wake you. Every scar on your soul is evidence that you've survived something that could have destroyed you. The enemy wants you to forget that. It wants you to believe your pain is permanent. But pain is not identity. It's instruction. You can't heal what you refuse to face. You can't command what you deny. So you have to confront the voice, not with anger, but with awareness. You have to ask, whose words are these really? Sometimes it's not even your voice. It's the echo of what someone once told you. A parent, a teacher, a friend, a failure. They planted a sentence in your head and you've been watering it for years. You've built your self-image around other people's opinions. But when you look closer, you'll see those voices were never truth. They were projections, fears, limitations of others that you absorbed as your own. The enemy within loves your blind spots. It hides in the stories you tell yourself. I'm not ready. I'm not that type of person. I've always been this way. Every time you repeat those stories, you give the enemy more ground. But the moment you question them, the walls begin to crack. The moment you say, maybe that's not true anymore, you begin to rewrite your programming. Awareness breaks the spell. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The monsters don't disappear, but you finally see that they were never as big as you imagined. That's how transformation begins. Not with perfection, but with observation. You start to notice when your thoughts turn against you. You catch yourself mid-spiral and ask, who's talking right now? My power or my fear? And the more you practice, the more control you take back. You learn that mastery isn't about having no doubt. It's about acting anyway. It's about realizing that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that fear will not run your life anymore. The enemy within doesn't go away when you succeed. It evolves. It adapts. When you level up, it changes its tactics. At first it says you can't. Later it says you shouldn't. Then it says you don't deserve it. That's how it survives. It doesn't care what words it uses, only that you stop moving. So you have to keep evolving faster than your fear. You have to become the kind of person who no longer negotiates with weakness. There will be days when the enemy feels louder than your purpose. Days when your confidence collapses under the weight of doubt. Those are the moments that define you. Because when everything inside you says quit and you move anyway, that's self-command. That's discipline. That's how you reclaim control over the voice that once controlled you. The world may challenge you, but your mind, your own mind, will always be the final battlefield. You must train it like a warrior. You must feed it truth until the lies starve. You must remind yourself again and again who you are when you forget. Say it until you believe it. I am not my thoughts. I am the one who observes them. I am not my fear. I am the one who moves despite it. The enemy lives in my mind, but it does not own my soul. This isn't easy work. It takes patience. It takes awareness. It takes a willingness to see yourself honestly. Not just your potential, but your patterns. Every self-destructive habit, every delay, every excuse has roots in the stories your mind tells you. You think you're lazy, but you're afraid. You think you're unmotivated, but you're overwhelmed. You think you're broken, but you're healing. Once you see the truth beneath the story, you stop fighting yourself and start leading yourself. You'll begin to notice something powerful. When you stop identifying with your pain, it stops controlling you. When you stop believing every thought that crosses your mind, the noise fades. The space between stimulus and response grows wider. And in that space you find freedom. The freedom to choose your next thought, your next action, your next identity. That's the foundation of mastery. Self-command is not a single victory. It's a daily practice. You will wake up tomorrow and the voice will still be there, whispering old fears in new disguises. But each time you meet it with awareness, it grows weaker. Each time you act from strength instead of fear, you reclaim more territory within yourself. And one day you'll notice that the voice no longer leads. It follows. It becomes background noise, irrelevant to your movement. That's when you know you've changed. Understand this. The greatest danger is not failing. It's forgetting who you are in the process. The enemy within doesn't just want you to stop, it wants you to lose sight of your power. That's why awareness must become your constant companion. You have to live awake. You have to listen without obeying, feel without drowning, doubt without stopping. That's real power, to face your fear and keep walking. And as you practice this, your inner world changes. The chaos that once consumed you becomes energy you can use. The same mind that used to sabotage you begins to serve you. You turn the critic into a coach, the fear into fuel, the noise into signal. You stop reacting to every thought and start responding with purpose. You become your own ally. When that happens, everything shifts. You stop chasing validation because you no longer doubt your worth. You stop fearing rejection because you no longer depend on approval. You stop shrinking to fit in because you've realized you were never meant to be small. The enemy within becomes silent, not because it disappears, but because you've outgrown it. It's still there, whispering its old scripts, but now you smile. You recognize the voice. You know it's not truth. It's just habit. And in that moment, you understand the real victory. It was never about conquering the world. It was about conquering yourself. The battlefield was always internal. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs. Once you master that, the world outside has nothing left to threaten you with. You become untouchable, not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger than your own resistance. So the next time the voice of fear rises, don't run, don't argue, just listen, then lead. You don't silence the enemy by shouting over it. You silence it by walking through it, by proving through action that it no longer commands you. Awareness is your light, discipline is your sword, and self-belief, unshakable, earned, lived, is your armor. Because when you win the war within, no battle outside can break you again. Chapter 4, Discipline over Emotion. Strength doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with movement, the decision to act even when every part of you resists. You've felt it before. Those mornings when the weight of life feels unbearable, when emotion drags you down like quicksand, whispering, "Not today." But that's the moment that defines you. That's where ordinary people break and disciplined people are born. Discipline is the bridge between emotion and execution, between what you feel and what you know must be done. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's quiet, repetitive, often unseen, but it builds unshakable power from the inside out. You were not born disciplined. No one is. Discipline is forged, not found. It's built in the moments when comfort calls and you refuse to answer. It's built in the repetition of small, thankless actions that no one notices. The early mornings, the late nights, the times you choose focus over feeling. Emotion says, "I don't want to." Discipline says, "Do it anyway." That's the difference between the person who hopes and the person who grows. Your emotions are not enemies, but they are unreliable guides. One day they lift you, the next they betray you. They change with sleep, with stress, with a single word from someone who doesn't even matter. If you build your life around emotion, your foundation will always shake. You'll chase pleasure and avoid discomfort, never realizing that both are temporary. Discipline anchors you beyond those tides. It gives you something emotion never can: stability. The world often romanticizes emotion. Follow your heart. Trust your feelings. Do what feels right. But feelings lie. They tell you to rest when you need to rise, to quit when you're close to breakthrough. Your heart can dream, yes, but it can also deceive. That's why warriors, creators, and leaders build systems stronger than their moods. They build structure, routines that carry them when willpower fades. Because they know the truth. You can't control how you feel, but you can always control what you do next. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who seem unshakable, consistent, unstoppable. It's not because they never feel weak. It's because they've trained themselves to act despite weakness. They've made discipline their identity, not their tool. They don't wait for inspiration. They create it through repetition. They know emotion is fuel, but only discipline determines direction. There will always be days when your mind is foggy, when motivation disappears, when your goals feel pointless. On those days, your emotions will beg you to slow down, to skip the gym, to stay quiet, to stop trying. But those are the most important days of all, because that's when discipline must lead. Discipline is the hand that pulls you forward when emotion tries to pull you under. It's the voice that says, "I don't care how you feel, this is who we are now." Feelings fluctuate. Standards don't. That's why disciplined people seem unbothered by chaos. It's not that they don't feel it. It's that they don't negotiate with it. They treat their emotions like weather. They acknowledge the storm but keep walking through it. You can't stop the rain, but you can keep moving. And when you keep moving, something changes inside you. You start to trust yourself. You start to realize that strength isn't the absence of feeling. It's the decision to keep showing up in spite of it. Emotion-driven living is reactive. It makes you a slave to your state. When you're happy, you give your best. When you're low, you withdraw. But discipline-driven living is proactive. It's principle over impulse. You act according to your values, not your moods. And that's how character is built, through consistent action aligned with who you've decided to become. Discipline turns chaos into order. It doesn't erase emotion. It channels it. You must understand, discipline isn't suppression. It's transformation. It's taking the raw power of emotion and directing it with intention. Anger becomes drive. Fear becomes alertness. Sadness becomes reflection. Excitement becomes focus. Every emotion holds energy. Discipline decides how that energy is used. When emotion runs wild, it burns everything in its path. When discipline leads, that same fire forges strength. Think of emotion as a river. Left unchecked, it floods and destroys. But with structure, with banks, direction, and flow, it becomes power. It turns turbines. It generates light. That's what happens when discipline governs emotion. Your chaos becomes creation. You stop wasting energy on mood swings and start investing it in motion. That's the secret of all mastery. Less reaction, more rhythm. And rhythm is what the disciplined live by. They don't chase feelings. They build habits. Because habits don't ask how you feel. They execute. They turn resistance into ritual. The more you repeat an action, the less emotion can interrupt it. That's how you rewire yourself. You train your nervous system to move even when your mind hesitates. And over time, discipline becomes your default, not your battle. It won't happen overnight. At first, it will feel mechanical, forced. You'll want to quit because it doesn't feel natural. But that's exactly how growth feels, unnatural. You're reshaping identity, carving new pathways in your brain, replacing comfort with command. Every disciplined act is a message to yourself. I am in control now. It's proof that emotion doesn't own you. Discipline requires humility, the willingness to be consistent, not impressive. To build when no one is watching, to practice when you'd rather rest, to do what must be done, not what feels good. That's the quiet power the world never sees, the inner steel that makes the outer calm possible. The disciplined don't talk about their strength. They live it. They don't need applause because their results speak louder than their feelings ever could. There's a deep peace that comes with discipline, a kind of freedom that emotion can't offer. Because once you've proven to yourself that you can act regardless of feeling, you stop fearing your own emotions. You stop running from sadness, boredom, or fatigue. You face them head on and keep walking. And in that steady motion, emotion loses its grip. You realize it's just noise, waves crashing against a ship that knows where it's going. Some people wait for the right moment to start. Disciplined people create it. Some wait to feel ready. Disciplined people move until they are. Because they know readiness isn't emotional. It's earned through repetition. Discipline teaches patience, endurance, resilience. It teaches you that commitment is not an emotion. It's a decision renewed daily. When you live by emotion, life owns you. When you live by discipline, you own yourself. You become the calm in the storm. You stop chasing control outside and start mastering it inside. And that mastery changes everything. Suddenly you can handle more pressure, more responsibility, more uncertainty. Because your actions are no longer tied to your moods. You're steady when others break, focused when others freeze. That's real strength. The truth is, discipline doesn't kill emotion, it refines it. You'll still feel deeply. You'll still have highs and lows. But now your emotions serve your mission instead of sabotaging it. You learn to listen without obeying, to feel without falling, to pause, breathe, and act with precision. This is the discipline of warriors, creators, leaders. Those who've learned that consistency is the highest form of love for one's purpose. And one day, you'll wake up and realize something has shifted. The things that once required willpower now happen automatically. The resistance that once drained you now strengthens you. You move with calm certainty. You've stopped being dragged by how you feel and started being driven by who you are. That's when you'll understand discipline isn't a cage. It's the key, because when emotion rules, you live in chaos. But when discipline rules, you live in freedom. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from regret. Freedom from the noise of your own moods. And in that freedom you find peace. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of control. The peace of knowing that no matter what storms rise, you'll keep moving forward. You'll still feel everything. The fear, the frustration, the fatigue, but it won't control your direction. You'll act, not react. You'll build, not break. You'll rise, not retreat. That's discipline over emotion. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about feeling everything and moving anyway, because true strength doesn't come from waiting for the right emotion. It comes from mastering your motion. Chapter 5, Turning Pain into Power. Pain is inevitable. Life will deliver it without warning, without reason, without mercy. It comes in many forms: loss, betrayal, failure, humiliation. The sting is sharp and the burn lingers longer than you expect. At first it seems like the end. You feel broken, hollow, unsure if you have anything left to give. That's the moment most people stop. That's when they curl up in the dark, letting despair decide the next chapter. But not you. Not this time. Because pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. And when you stop running, when you confront it head on, pain becomes fuel. Every disappointment you've endured is raw material. Every rejection, every failure, every door that slammed in your face is not punishment. It's instruction. Pain shows you what matters, what's weak, what's untrue. It exposes the cracks in your identity, your plans, your defenses. And within those cracks lies opportunity. Pain is the signal that something needs to change, that growth is overdue, that transformation is possible, but only if you reach inside and turn it into energy. Anger, for example, is a powerful teacher. It's intense, consuming, dangerous if left unchecked. You've felt it. The kind of anger that makes your chest thrum, your vision narrow, your mind race. Most people let it destroy them. They lash out, they dwell, they stew in it. But anger is energy, and energy is never wasted if directed. Channel it into action. Let it fuel your focus, your creativity, your drive. Let it be the spark that ignites momentum. The same fire that burns you can illuminate your path if you guide it with intention. Sadness is different. It's slower, quieter, heavier. It lulls you into stillness, into rumination, into questioning your worth. Yet it holds wisdom. Sadness allows reflection. It forces you to examine what matters. It strips away pretense, revealing truths you might otherwise ignore. Transform sadness into insight. Let it guide your next step. Let it teach you about empathy, about resilience, about priorities. While anger demands action, sadness demands learning. Both are necessary, both are fuel, if you choose to use them. Loss is perhaps the most feared. The loss of someone, something, or some version of yourself that you thought was permanent. It shakes your foundation, leaving you unsteady. But within that emptiness lies the seed of rebirth. Loss reminds you that attachment to what was can blind you to what can be. It forces you to adapt, to rebuild, to discover reserves of strength you didn't know existed. Pain in the form of loss is the universe clearing space for something greater, if you dare to step forward into the unknown. Rejection, failure, humiliation, they all carry the same lesson. They reveal what you need to refine, the limits you've placed on yourself, the narratives you've believed too long. The moment you stop seeing them as setbacks and start seeing them as steps, everything changes. You begin to understand that the world is not against you. The world is neutral. The fire of life doesn't discriminate. It's not personal. And the energy you feel from that fire, the frustration, the fear, the disappointment, can either consume you or propel you. Victimhood is a choice. You can linger in the pain, replaying the story of what was taken from you, lamenting your misfortune, waiting for a rescue that may never come. Or you can pivot. You can rise. You can use every wound, every bruise, every scar as a tool. You can turn the weight into leverage. You can alchemize the raw material of suffering into power. That is the shift from passive existence to active creation, from brokenness to rebirth. The first step is acknowledgement. Don't hide from the hurt. Don't numb it. Sit with it. Name it, own it. Understand its source. When you truly face pain, you strip it of its ability to control you secretly. You bring it into the light, where you can see it clearly. Only then can you decide what to do with it. Awareness is the crucible in which transformation begins. Without it, you remain at the mercy of your suffering. With it, you become the architect of your own energy. The second step is intentionality. Energy moves. It cannot be destroyed, only redirected. Ask yourself, where will this energy go? Into resentment and stagnation, or into action and growth? Every time you make a conscious decision to act from pain rather than collapse into it, you strengthen your mind, your spirit, and your resolve. That's how raw emotion becomes power. That's how brokenness becomes creation. That's how victims become victors. Action must be deliberate. It must be consistent. One day, 1 hour, one step at a time. The fire of pain can scorch you if it's wild, but harnessed, it fuels persistence. You learn to work when you feel empty, to rise when you feel defeated, to speak when your heart wants to stay silent. Each act is an affirmation that you will not be defined by what happened to you. Each choice is a brick in the foundation of the self you are building from the ashes. Resilience is cultivated, not inherited. It's born in repetition, in refusal, in relentless forward motion. Every time life knocks you down and you push yourself up again, you add strength. Every time you translate a setback into a lesson, you add clarity. Every time you convert anger into purpose, sadness into insight, loss into motivation, you become more than you were before. Pain becomes not just a memory, but a resource. A wellspring of power available whenever needed. Transformation is not passive. It requires commitment. It demands courage. It calls for the kind of honesty that makes you uncomfortable. You must admit where you've been weak, where you've blamed others, where you've let fear dictate your actions. Only then can you reclaim that energy and wield it deliberately. Only then can you rise from the ashes, stronger, sharper, unbreakable in ways you couldn't imagine before. Alchemizing pain requires creativity. It requires perspective. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this? How can I let this shape me, not shatter me? Turn bitterness into curiosity, regret into strategy, grief into empathy. Use your wounds as guides. Let them inform your decisions, shape your habits, and sharpen your focus. When you do, you stop being a victim. You start being a creator, the master of your own narrative. And as you practice this, something extraordinary happens. You notice that your pain no longer dominates your mind. It becomes context, not chaos. It informs you without imprisoning you. You feel anger, sadness, loss, but you act first, guided by principle, purpose, and vision. You've taken the energy that once threatened to destroy you and made it yours. You've turned fire into fuel, despair into strategy, weakness into leverage. That is alchemy. That is mastery. When life is hard, and it will be, you will not crumble. You will not hide. You will feel the pain, respect it, learn from it, and then convert it into something unstoppable. You will rise with every hardship, strengthened by every setback, and people will watch you move through life, unaware of the battles you fought internally, unaware of the energy you transmuted into results. They will see only the power. You will see the work, and it will be yours alone. This is how the shift happens. The moment you stop allowing pain to define you is the moment you begin to define your pain. You reclaim ownership. You refuse to be the story of what happened to you. You become the story of what you created from it. That's the difference between surviving and thriving, between enduring and conquering, between being broken and being reborn. Pain, when mastered, is not an enemy. It is a teacher, a guide, a mentor. It reminds you of your limits and challenges you to surpass them. It exposes your weaknesses so you can fortify them. It shakes you so you can stabilize from the inside out. And if you rise with intention, it transforms into strength, into wisdom, into momentum. The energy that once weighed you down now carries you forward. You become unstoppable because you've learned the greatest secret. Nothing that happens to you can harm you without your consent. So embrace your wounds. Listen to their lessons. Channel their energy. Let anger ignite action. Sadness illuminate insight. Loss reveal opportunity. Do not fear your past or your pain. Use it. Stand in the fire and let it forge you. That is how the broken become powerful. That is how the defeated rise. That is how life's cruelty is turned into life's greatest advantage. Pain is inevitable. Power is optional. Choose wisely, and when the next blow comes, as it inevitably will, you will not flinch. You will not crumble. You will remember that you are an alchemist, a creator, a force capable of transmuting suffering into motion. You will act, not react. You will rise, not retreat. And in that rising, you will see clearly, brokenness is temporary. Rebirth is permanent. Your power is waiting, forged in the furnace of every trial you've survived. Chapter 6. The Power of Stillness. The world is loud. Phones buzz. Notifications scream. Opinions clash. Expectations weigh. Chaos is constant. And in the midst of it, your mind races. Thoughts collide. Emotions flare. You react before you think. You speak before you reflect. You move before you measure. The noise is relentless and most people surrender to it. But power lives in the pause. Strength lives in the silence. The moment you stop, breathe, and observe is the moment you regain control. Not over the world, but over yourself. Stillness is not inaction. It is not weakness. It is precision. It is the calm within the storm. It is the inner alignment that allows clarity to emerge from chaos. You've been conditioned to believe that action equals strength, that busyness equals progress. But movement without direction is wasted energy. Noise without observation is confusion. To master life, you must master the spaces between thought and response. That mastery begins with stillness. Solitude is a teacher few willingly visit. When you remove the distractions, the noise, the social validation, what remains is you, the person you've been avoiding, the truths you've been running from, the thoughts you've buried. At first, it's uncomfortable. You feel exposed. You confront your fears, your regrets, your doubts. But in that discomfort lies clarity. In that confrontation lies power. The quiet mind sees patterns, recognizes triggers, and learns to act deliberately rather than react impulsively. Observation is the weapon of the disciplined. When your mind is calm, you notice things others miss. You notice the subtle rise of anger before it erupts. You notice the twitch of fear before it paralyzes. You notice opportunity before it's gone. Noise clouds perception. Emotion clouds judgment. Stillness clears both. By cultivating silence within, you step into a higher level of awareness. You move with intention. You act with precision. You live with mastery. Breathing is your anchor. It is the simplest tool of stillness, yet the most overlooked. When the world accelerates, your breath slows you down. It reminds you that nothing outside you can control your inner state unless you allow it. Inhale, exhale, observe the rise and fall. In that rhythm you find stability. In that rhythm you regain ownership. Your breath becomes a bridge between chaos and clarity, between reaction and response, between noise and insight. Stillness also teaches patience. Most people rush, hoping speed will solve problems. But the truth is, clarity cannot be forced. Understanding cannot be hurried. Insight cannot be manufactured. It emerges quietly, in moments of observation, reflection, and pause. When you allow stillness to exist, solutions appear, not as a sudden miracle, but as the natural outcome of aligned thought and measured action. Silence is not empty. It is fertile. It is the ground where ideas take root. It is the space where emotions can settle, where judgments can be examined, where strategy can be formed. In the quiet, you can distinguish between what matters and what distracts. You can prioritize action over reaction, significance over urgency. The noise outside may rage, but the power inside grows stronger with every moment of deliberate stillness. Stillness amplifies self-control. When you are quiet, you feel less compelled to react to provocation. You respond instead of retaliating. You decide instead of yielding. You act from principle, not impulse. In the absence of external chaos, internal order emerges. You become the master of your impulses, the governor of your emotions, the architect of your own decisions. That is the power that silence grants. Meditation is the practice of stillness. It is not mystical. It is practical. Even 5 minutes a day of observing your thoughts, letting them pass without attachment, trains the mind to pause, to see without judgment, to listen without distraction. Over time, the mind that once darted like a firefly begins to flow like a river. Calm, controlled, directed. The same mind that reacted to every insult, every fear, every doubt now chooses its responses with care and intelligence. Stillness also teaches discernment. The world bombards you with signals, urgent messages, unsolicited advice, imagined obligations. Without silence, you accept all of it. You obey every signal. You chase every distraction. But when you cultivate inner quiet, you learn to distinguish signal from noise. You learn which actions are meaningful and which are trivial. You learn which words to heed and which to discard. That discernment is power disguised as calm. The contrast is striking. Those who move with chaos are reactive, exhausted, fragmented. Those who move from stillness are deliberate, composed, unstoppable. It is not about being faster. It is about being smarter. It is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters. Noise multiplies mistakes. Silence multiplies insight. Reaction leads to entanglement. Observation leads to mastery. The difference is measurable. In results, in energy, in presence. Stillness is also a form of resistance. It resists the tyranny of urgency. It resists the seduction of distraction. It resists the false pressure of immediacy. In a world that demands constant movement, pausing becomes an act of rebellion, a declaration that you will not be ruled by impulse, that you will not surrender to chaos, that your inner state is inviolable. Those who embrace stillness carry an unshakable confidence because their foundation is not external. It is internal. The practice of stillness does not mean isolation from the world. It means isolation from distraction. You engage, you act, you lead, but from a place of calm authority. You choose your battles, your words, your energy. You navigate social, professional, and emotional storms with precision because your inner compass is steady. Noise no longer dictates your course. Clarity does. Reaction no longer steals your power. Observation guides it. Even amidst the most turbulent circumstances, you can find stillness. A few deep breaths, a moment of pause, a brief step back. These are enough to reset the nervous system, to reclaim agency, to regain perspective. The chaos outside remains, but the storm inside calms. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You respond where others react. You decide where others drift. That is mastery. That is power disguised as peace. Stillness also strengthens resilience. By practicing silence and observation, you become less vulnerable to emotional manipulation. You feel, but you do not collapse. You hear, but you do not absorb negativity. You witness setbacks, but you do not surrender. The storm may rage, but you are the anchor. You are the lighthouse. You are the calm eye around which chaos spins, untouchable because your power is rooted in your stillness. Internal alignment is the culmination of stillness. When your mind, body, and spirit are synchronized, you move without hesitation, speak without doubt, act without friction. Your energy flows efficiently. Your decisions are precise. Your actions carry weight. Stillness is the foundation on which discipline, clarity, and focus are built. Without it, even the strongest resolve will fracture under pressure. With it, even the smallest effort becomes exponentially more powerful. Silence is contagious, in the right way. People sense the presence of calm authority. They notice when you do not react impulsively. They notice when you are unshakable, composed, deliberate. Your stillness radiates confidence. It is magnetic. It creates space for others to reflect, to listen, to respond with intention. The power of stillness extends beyond yourself because clarity and composure inspire clarity and composure in those around you. And so, cultivate stillness daily. Seek it even when life demands motion. Embrace it when the world screams. Value it more than noise, more than validation, more than immediate gratification. Because true power is not the loudest, fastest, or most reactive. True power is deliberate, calm, anchored in observation, and aligned with principle. It is the ability to act with precision, even when emotion urges haste. When the environment pressures chaos, when the mind screams distraction, the practice is simple but profound. Pause, breathe, observe, decide, act, repeat. Over time, stillness becomes second nature. It does not weaken you. It fortifies you. It does not isolate you. It equips you to engage fully. It does not diminish energy. It amplifies it. And when life tests you, as it always will, you will not falter. You will respond. You will act. You will move with the calm, unshakable force that only stillness can cultivate. Stillness is not a retreat. It is preparation. It is the forge where composure is hammered into resilience. It is the training ground for mastery. It is the moment you take ownership of your inner world, regardless of the outer one. Noise may rage, chaos may threaten, and emotion may spike, but you remain calm, observant, in control. The power that others seek in action is already yours in silence, and so you will practice. You will seek silence in motion. You will pause before reacting. You will listen before answering. You will reflect before acting. In these moments, the world moves fast, but you move precisely. You act with intention. You choose your responses. You align your energy. You master your mind. You wield the power of stillness, because the world may demand frenzy, but you will hold calm. You will hold clarity. You will hold yourself. And in that calm, the unshakable strength of purpose and control is born. Chapter 7. The choice to keep going. There will come a moment when motivation disappears. The fire that once pushed you forward flickers and dies. Your body aches. Your mind protests. The storms of life press down from every side. Every step feels heavier than the last. And in that moment, the world whispers, "Stop. Rest. You've done enough." Most people listen. Most people quit. Most people settle. But not you. Because when motivation fades, choice remains. The decision to move forward is still yours, and it is stronger than any fleeting feeling. Grit is forged in these moments.
It is not glamorous.
It is not celebrated. It is the quiet insistence to rise when you don't want to walk when your feet are bleeding, to speak when your voice trembles. It is the refusal to let circumstances define your outcome. Motivation is temporary. Grit is permanent. It is a muscle you build through repetition, through struggle, through countless days when all you want is to stop. And the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes, until endurance is no longer a choice. It is your identity. Persistence is not easy. It is often lonely. It is walking through a storm while the world watches from a distance, unable to understand why you keep moving. You feel exposed, raw, and weary. You will question yourself. You will doubt your purpose. You will wonder if the struggle is worth the cost. And yet the act of going forward anyway is transformative. Every step you take in defiance of exhaustion rewrites your limits. Every step you take when it hurts builds a reservoir of strength that no comfort can ever provide. Courage does not always roar. Often it is quiet. It is the whispered voice that says, "I will take one more step." It is the resolve that steadies your shaking hands, straightens your back, and lifts your gaze toward the path ahead. You do not feel invincible. You do not feel ready. You feel tired, battered, unsure. And yet courage is born not from absence of fear, but from action despite fear. The choice to keep going transforms fear from a cage into a tool, a mirror reflecting how far you've come and how far you are willing to travel. Imagine walking with bloodied feet through a storm. Rain cuts your face, wind tears at your clothes, the ground is slick and unsteady. Every part of you screams to stop. Every instinct tells you to turn back. And yet you step forward, one foot in front of the other. Not because it feels good, not because it's easy, but because you made a choice. That is the essence of persistence. That is the essence of grit. That is the essence of showing up when the world has nothing to offer but resistance. Giving up is seductive. It promises rest, relief, and safety. It feels like the rational choice. But every time you surrender, you betray the version of yourself capable of greatness. You deny your potential. You abandon the fight before victory has a chance to appear. The choice to keep going is a declaration, to yourself first and foremost, that your journey is bigger than your discomfort. Your purpose is bigger than your pain. Your identity is bigger than your fear. Strength is not a feeling. It is a decision repeated daily. It is the choice to move forward when emotion begs you to stop. It is the decision to honor your goals even when they feel out of reach. It is the quiet rebellion against inertia, laziness, and doubt. Motivation will fail you. Inspiration will fade. But the commitment to act, to persist, to endure, that is unstoppable. That is unbreakable. That is the power of choice. Exhaustion is inevitable. You will face days when your body protests, your mind resists, and your spirit wavers. You will question why you started, why you continue, why you are even here. Those days are tests, and tests are where character is forged. Your choice to endure under duress, to continue despite fatigue, separates those who succeed from those who falter. It is in the struggle, not the comfort, that transformation occurs. The pain is temporary. The results are permanent. The decision to persist defines everything. The mind wants to quit before the body does. Fear masquerades as reason. Fatigue masquerades as logic. And most people listen. They let excuses dictate action. But discipline, courage, and determination are louder than any fleeting thought of surrender. You must learn to recognize the difference between a warning and a lie. Your body is capable of more than your mind believes. Your mind is capable of more than your heart fears. The moment you choose action despite hesitation is the moment you reclaim authority over your journey. Persistence is a conversation between who you are and who you want to become. Every step, every decision, every small act of endurance is a word in that conversation. You tell yourself, "I am stronger than I think. I am more capable than I feel. I am not finished." And over time, these words become truths. The habit of choice strengthens identity. You become the kind of person who does not quit, who continues when others falter, who moves forward when the path is unclear. Choice builds character. Choice builds mastery. Choice builds power. Renewal often comes at the brink of exhaustion. When you push past what you thought were your limits, you discover reserves of strength you never knew existed. Moments of despair transform into moments of clarity. Pain transforms into momentum. The darkness you feared becomes the contrast that illuminates your inner light. And in this transformation you realize, the journey is not about ease. It is about persistence. Not about comfort. About courage. Not about assurance. About action. Every time you choose to continue, you send a message to yourself and the universe. You will not be defined by circumstance. You will not be owned by fear. You will not be stopped by exhaustion. You will rise. You will endure. You will walk through the storm even when it rains fire, even when the wind rips at you, even when the world doubts you. Each choice is a victory. Each step is proof. Each breath is a declaration. The act of showing up, when tired, when wounded, when unsure, creates momentum that cannot be measured in a single day. The cumulative power of repeated choice builds resilience, fortitude, and authority over your life. Every small act of persistence compounds into transformation. Every decision to go on, despite difficulty, reinforces the belief that you are capable of more than you imagined. And one day, looking back, you will see that the person who persevered was already unstoppable before the results appeared. The path forward is rarely straight or easy. You will face obstacles, setbacks, betrayals, and failures. You will encounter days when your body rebels, your mind protests, and your spirit falters. But the choice to keep going is never about the path being easy. It is about your commitment to walk it anyway. It is about honoring your vision, respecting your potential, and refusing to hand power over to circumstance or fatigue. You walk because you have decided. You persist because you have chosen. You endure because you are relentless. Choice is freedom disguised as struggle. Motivation is fleeting. Choice is permanent. Action is temporary. Habit is enduring. But the decision to rise, to move, to persist, that is legacy. It is the foundation of mastery. It is the core of character. It is the proving ground of those who become unstoppable. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel strong. You do not need to feel confident. You need only to decide. And once decided, the rest follows, sometimes slowly, sometimes painfully, always inevitably. And when the storm ends, when the path levels, when your feet are bloodied but steady, you will look back and realize that the choice to keep going was the defining moment. It was not your talent, not your luck, not your timing. It was your decision. That decision carried you through the darkness. That decision forged your resilience. That decision shaped the person you have become. The storm will come again and the storm will test you, but the choice will always remain. Choose to go. Choose to persist. Choose to rise, because the difference between those who falter and those who conquer is simple. Giving up ends the story. Going through writes it. Showing up when it hurts, when it's hard, when you feel empty, that is the true measure of strength. That is the quiet heroism of persistence. That is the unshakable foundation of mastery. The world may not see your struggle, but your spirit knows, and the spirit never lies. So when fatigue grips you, when doubt haunts you, when motivation vanishes, remember, you have a choice, and the choice is power. You will keep moving. You will keep stepping. You will keep fighting, not because it is easy, not because it is safe, not because it feels good, but because you decided that nothing outside or inside you will stop you. You are relentless. You are unbreakable. You are the one who keeps going. Chapter 8. The people who leave. Some people will not stay, even the ones you love most, even the ones you thought would always be there. In your hardest seasons, when life tests you, they disappear. They step back, fade away, or vanish completely. And it hurts. It feels like betrayal. It feels like rejection. It feels like evidence that you are alone in the world. And for a moment, it is tempting to see it as failure. Your failure, their failure, life's failure. But it is not. It is a lesson. A harsh, beautiful, necessary lesson in independence and self-mastery. The truth is, not everyone is meant to walk with you through storms. Some people enter your life for a season, some for a chapter, some for a single page. And when they leave, it is not always about you. It is about the timing of their journey, their capacity, and the paths you are meant to travel alone. Loneliness is not punishment. It is purification. It strips away reliance on others for your stability, your joy, your identity. It forces you to stand on your own, to be complete without validation, to be strong even when comfort evaporates. Dependence is subtle. It disguises itself as connection, love, loyalty, even friendship. And when it is severed, you feel empty. The ache is real. The longing is real. But that emptiness is also opportunity. It is space for self-reliance. It is the room where you discover that you can be whole without anyone else's presence. That the fire of your spirit does not need a match from outside. That your power is internal, not borrowed. When people leave, they create the conditions for you to find yourself. Raw, unfiltered, unbound. Attachment can blind you. You invest your energy, your hope, your love into those who cannot meet you where you are. You compromise your purpose, your focus, your peace, all in the hope that someone else will hold the weight with you. And when they step away, it feels like a wound. But that wound is a teacher. It shows you where you leaned too heavily, where you gave away your authority, where you allowed your self-worth to depend on external presence. That realization, though bitter, is liberating. Emotional independence is not isolation. It is strength. It is the ability to feel, to care, to love, without surrendering your power. When people leave, it is your chance to practice that independence. You learn to comfort yourself. You learn to validate yourself. You learn to be your own anchor in a world that is often unpredictable, unfair, and transient. The storm outside will not break you if the storm inside is anchored in self-reliance. Solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the laboratory in which your character is refined. When you are alone, you confront your fears, your habits, your tendencies. You face the parts of yourself you may have ignored while distracted by others. You learn who you are without reflection, without applause, without support. And in that confrontation, strength is born. Solitude sharpens clarity. Solitude builds resilience. Solitude transforms survival into mastery. Detachment is a skill. It is the ability to experience love, connection, and joy without being consumed by them. It is the ability to release what does not serve your growth without bitterness or regret. When people leave, detachment allows you to see the gift in their absence. It is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about creating boundaries, honoring your energy, and refusing to let loss dictate your sense of worth. Those who cannot stay were never meant to define you. Growth often requires pruning. Not everyone belongs in the space you are building around yourself. Some must go so that the rest of your life has room to flourish. The people who leave are not failures. They are signals. They show you where your roots are strongest and where you have been overextended. They teach you to hold yourself accountable for your own emotional well-being, rather than outsourcing it to someone else's presence or absence. Pain accompanies departure, but pain is not weakness. Pain is a teacher. It forces you to feel deeply, to process fully, to confront the realities of life without illusion. The tears, the ache, the questions, all of it is part of the refining process. The stronger you become, the more capable you are of holding space for yourself without needing external validation. Pain transforms into power when you choose reflection over resentment, clarity over confusion, growth over grief. Notice the contrast. Dependence leaves you fragile. You rely on others for stability, identity, and purpose. You are vulnerable to abandonment, disappointment, and betrayal. Self-reliance, however, creates resilience. You remain steady even when support disappears. You are anchored even when the tides rise. You are whole even when the world turns away. The lesson is profound yet simple. No one outside of you can grant the strength that lives within you. People leaving is a crucible. It is the fire in which your character is tested. You discover who you truly are when stripped of external comfort. You discover that you can survive, thrive, and create alone. You discover that your value is inherent, not assigned. You discover the power of being present with yourself, fully, unapologetically, without compromise. This is freedom disguised as loss, liberation hidden within absence. Loneliness is a companion of the brave. It challenges you to stand, to move, to create, without reliance on applause, encouragement, or companionship. It forces you to rely on your own vision, your own commitment, your own discipline. When you embrace solitude, you discover the depth of your own capacity. You learn that you can endure, you can create, you can lead, and you can thrive, even when the world turns its back. Reflection in solitude deepens understanding. You examine patterns, relationships, choices, and values. You see what has nourished growth and what has stunted it. You see where you gave power away, where you sought approval, where you clung unnecessarily. And in seeing, you gain choice. You can decide differently. You can choose who to let in, how to engage, what to invest in. The people who leave are not punishers. They are instructors, highlighting where strength and boundaries must be claimed. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you cease connection or compassion. It means you cease dependence. It means you stop allowing external presence to dictate your self-worth. It means that whether someone stays or goes, you remain anchored in yourself. You build rituals, habits, and practices that reinforce stability, joy, and purpose. Practices that no absence can undermine. The process is not instantaneous. There is grief. There is confusion. There is longing. But the path forward is clear. Let go without bitterness. Reflect without resentment. Grow without attachment. Every person who leaves opens the door for self-discovery, inner clarity, and resilience. Every departure is an invitation to deepen your own capacity for strength, independence, and purpose. Over time, the emptiness left by those who leave becomes fertile ground. It allows you to cultivate habits, focus, and relationships that truly align with your growth. It allows you to invest energy where it is reciprocated, where it matters, where it nurtures your vision. The absence of others teaches you to treasure your own presence, to command your own attention, and to rely on your own judgment. The lesson is unavoidable. Life is impermanent, and so are relationships. Dependence will always set you up for disappointment. Self-reliance, on the other hand, shields you from chaos. It makes you adaptable, confident, and grounded. It allows you to navigate the ebb and flow of life with composure. You will feel the ache of absence, but you will also feel the liberation of strength. You will mourn, but you will not collapse. You will grieve, but you will rise. The people who leave teach you the most valuable lesson of all. You are enough. Your presence is enough. Your heart is enough. Your mind is enough. Your capacity to endure, create, and thrive is enough. Their departure does not diminish you. It magnifies your need to claim your own power. You are not incomplete because others leave. You are complete because you stand in yourself. So when the inevitable departures come, as they will, embrace the lesson. Notice the space they leave. Reflect on your own strength. Build routines, habits, and structures that sustain you. Cultivate joy, purpose, and discipline that rely solely on your own presence. Learn to love yourself in ways that no absence can erase. And in that love, you discover the true measure of resilience. You are not defined by who stays or who goes. You are defined by how firmly you remain anchored in yourself. The world will test you with absence, disappointment, and abandonment. And when it does, you will not stumble. You will not falter. You will feel the grief, honor it, and channel it into strength. You will walk forward with the certainty that your foundation is internal, your power is inherent, and your life does not depend on the presence of others. The people who leave are part of the journey, not the obstacle. They are teachers, not thieves. They are signals, not punishments. And you, grounded, resilient, independent, are the one who remains. Chapter 9. Faith in the dark. You cannot see the light yet. The path ahead is obscured, blurred by uncertainty, doubt, and fear. Every step feels heavy. Every decision feels risky. And yet you move. You continue. You keep walking, even when your eyes strain to find clarity. Faith is not the absence of darkness. Faith is the courage to move through it. It is the quiet voice inside that says, I cannot see it yet, but I trust it will come. In the absence of certainty, faith becomes your guide, steadying every trembling step. Fear whispers endlessly. It tells you to stop, to turn back, to wait for proof, for assurance, for guarantees. It tells you that darkness is permanent, that struggle is endless, that hope is naive, and yet fear is only a shadow. It cannot define the path unless you surrender to it. Faith, on the other hand, illuminates from within. It is not a flashlight held in the hand. It is a glow in the heart. It is trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in life's unseen order. Even when the world feels chaotic, faith gives you rhythm, alignment, and direction. Consider the seed buried deep beneath the soil. For weeks, months, perhaps even years, it cannot see the sun. It cannot feel warmth. It cannot predict growth. It exists in darkness, seemingly inert, vulnerable to the weight of earth and the uncertainty of the elements. And yet inside that seed, a quiet certainty stirs. It stretches, it prepares, it waits. And when the time is right, it breaks through the surface. Growth is not visible at first, but it is always happening beneath. So it is with you. Even in the darkest moments, unseen progress occurs. Faith allows you to trust the invisible work within. Walking in darkness demands patience. It demands surrender. You must release the need for immediate results, for confirmation, for visible signs. Impatience magnifies fear. Anxiety magnifies doubt. But patience paired with faith transforms waiting into strength. Each step you take without seeing the end reinforces your resilience. Each moment you trust the process builds the muscle of courage. Each choice to act, even blindly, rewires your mind to see potential where fear only sees risk. Faith is not passive. It does not mean sitting still until clarity arrives. It is active trust. It is deliberate movement guided by inner conviction, not external visibility. You plant seeds of effort, kindness, discipline, and courage in the dark, knowing that the fruits of your labor will emerge in time. You act without certainty, create without guarantee, persist without proof. This is the paradox of faith. You work in darkness and yet believe in light. You move without seeing and yet trust the path. Fear will always attempt to infiltrate your steps. It will question your ability, your timing, and your worthiness. Fear thrives in uncertainty and feeds on doubt. But faith is the antidote. It reminds you that life unfolds in patterns beyond your immediate understanding. It whispers that every challenge, every struggle, every moment of waiting is preparation for the emergence of something greater. Faith allows you to interpret setbacks not as punishment, but as part of the necessary process. Darkness can feel isolating. When the outcome is unclear, When the path is hidden, loneliness can creep in. But faith transforms solitude into communion, not with others, but with yourself and with life itself. It is the assurance that even when you cannot see, even when the world feels distant, you are aligned with forces greater than immediate perception. You are not abandoned. You are in the middle of growth, unseen yet unstoppable. Contrast becomes visible in these moments. Fear seeks to shrink you, to paralyze you, to make you doubt your potential. Faith stretches you, steadies you, and reminds you of the unseen capacity within. Fear measures life by what is visible. Faith measures it by what is possible. Fear reacts. Faith responds. Fear focuses on scarcity. Faith focuses on potential. Walking in darkness is not about ignorance of risk. It is about knowing risk and choosing trust anyway. Faith demands humility. You admit you do not have all the answers. You cannot control everything. You cannot predict every outcome. And in that admission, there is freedom. The surrender of omnipotence allows trust to flourish. You act, but you do not cling to results. You move, but you do not demand immediate proof. You create, but you accept that the impact may not be visible for months or years. Faith is patience perfected. Faith is surrender empowered. The spiritual dimension of faith emerges here. It is not solely belief in external forces, but in the intelligence of life and the capacity within yourself. It is knowing that effort, alignment, and persistence are never wasted, even when results are invisible. Just as the seed does not see the sun while underground, you do not see the culmination of your work in the present. Yet life honors consistent action guided by integrity, courage, and focus. Faith allows you to move confidently, even when certainty is absent. Moments of doubt will arise. You will question your path. You will question your worth. You will question whether the unseen light exists at all. This is natural. Even faith is tested. But growth does not occur in certainty. It occurs in commitment to move forward despite uncertainty. Each decision to continue in darkness, each refusal to surrender to fear, each act of trust is a victory. Small steps accumulate into transformation, and every day you persist strengthens the unseen foundation beneath your future emergence. Faith requires imagination. You must visualize the light without seeing it. You must feel the victory without tasting it. You must embrace the results without proof. It is an exercise in trust, a trust that life in its complexity and timing delivers according to unseen laws of cause and effect. You plant diligently, water consistently, and prepare for harvest. Even if you do not yet feel the sunlight, you know it will reach you because the process is reliable. Faith also teaches resilience. In darkness, when hope feels fragile, your trust in the process becomes armor. It softens the blow of setbacks. It tempers disappointment. It transforms anxiety into calm vigilance. While others stumble at the first sign of uncertainty, you continue. You endure. You move with quiet confidence, grounded in the knowledge that effort in darkness is never wasted. Every struggle becomes a foundation. Every challenge becomes a step forward. The metaphor of the seed extends to your own potential. You may feel buried, unseen, and uncertain. The soil may be heavy, the darkness may be deep, but within you lies the capacity to sprout, to grow, to rise. Every act of discipline, courage, and alignment is a root reaching down for stability. Every choice to act, persist, and trust is a shoot seeking the surface. The bloom will come. It always comes. Faith assures you that darkness is not permanent, and that emergence is inevitable. Contrast reveals the truth. Fear seeks to immobilize you by highlighting uncertainty. Faith liberates you by trusting the unseen. Fear focuses on the absence of light. Faith trusts that the light exists. Fear doubts the journey. Faith believes in the path. And in the tension between fear and faith, you find the space to move forward, to grow, and to discover the strength that can only emerge when you cannot see. Faith is a muscle. The more you practice walking without visibility, trusting without proof, and acting without guarantee, the stronger it becomes. Each day you move despite doubt. Each decision you make in uncertainty. Each moment you trust the unseen. You fortify your spirit. You build the internal confidence that no circumstance can shake. Darkness remains, but you no longer fear it. You navigate it. Darkness is no longer an enemy, but a teacher, a proving ground for patience, courage, and resilience. And so, you walk, step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. You may stumble, you may waver, you may feel fear, but you do not stop. You continue through uncertainty. You continue without visibility. You continue because faith has become larger than fear. You continue because you trust your capacity, your effort, and the process of life itself. Each step in darkness prepares you for the brilliance to come. Faith is not passive. It is active persistence. It is walking forward when the outcome is unknown. It is planting seeds, nurturing growth, and trusting the harvest. It is the courage to believe when proof is absent, and the patience to endure when results are invisible. It is the quiet, tender, redemptive force that allows you to rise, even when the world is dark, even when doubt surrounds you, even when fear tempts surrender, and so, even in darkness, even in uncertainty, even in fear, you rise. You walk, you act, you trust, because the unseen is real. The effort is never wasted. The seed is growing. The light is coming. You will emerge stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Chapter 10. Rebuilding the Warrior. The time has come to rebuild. The storms have passed, or at least you have weathered them. The pain has left its marks, but scars are proof. Proof that you survived. Proof that you endured. Proof that you are still standing. Now begins the reconstruction. You are no longer the person who stumbled in darkness. You are the person who walked through it, step by step, choice by choice. You are the warrior, tempered by adversity, forged in fire, and ready to reclaim your life. Rebuilding is deliberate. It is not hurried. It is not random. It is precise, intentional, and methodical. You assess what remains, your strengths, your lessons, your values, and you build upon them. Every habit you form, every boundary you set, every principle you adopt is brick laid in the foundation of the warrior you are becoming. Strength is not assumed. It is constructed. Confidence is not given. It is earned through alignment, discipline, and relentless consistency. The first pillar of reconstruction is self-respect. You can no longer allow neglect, compromise, or exploitation to define you. You honor your time, your energy, and your mind. You refuse to tolerate what diminishes you. You cultivate standards that protect your spirit and reinforce your worth. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is a quiet, unshakable understanding that you are worthy of your own dedication. You become the guardian of your own integrity, and that armor is stronger than any external shield. Boundaries are the second pillar. They are not walls to isolate you from the world, but gates that protect your energy. You define what is acceptable and what is not. You learn to say no without guilt, and yes without hesitation when it aligns with your purpose. Boundaries are not punishment for others. They are respect for yourself. They create clarity in your relationships, in your work, and in your life. They teach you to navigate the world without surrendering your power, and they allow others to understand who you are and how you operate. Discipline forms the backbone of this reconstruction. A warrior is not swayed by fleeting emotion or convenience. A warrior acts regardless of mood, fatigue, or distraction. Discipline is doing what must be done, not because it feels good, but because it builds structure, momentum, and mastery. It is waking early, showing up consistently, and honoring commitments to yourself even when no one is watching. Discipline transforms chaos into order and intention into habit. It teaches that strength is forged daily, not assumed suddenly. The warrior mindset is more than toughness. It is strategic power. It is the fusion of confidence, clarity, and action. You anticipate challenges, accept responsibility, and embrace discomfort. You understand that growth occurs in the arena, not in comfort. You harness setbacks as fuel, criticism as insight, and adversity as opportunity. The warrior does not retreat from difficulty. They meet it head-on. They understand the laws of preparation, execution, and resilience. They do not wait for circumstances to change. They change themselves to master circumstances. Rebuilding requires reflection. You examine what worked, what failed, and what is worth carrying forward. You are honest with yourself about your weaknesses, and you refuse to let them dictate your future. Reflection is not self-criticism. It is intelligence applied to growth. The warrior learns from mistakes, recalibrates strategy, and refines action. They do not dwell on regret. They harvest lessons and convert them into leverage for the next battle. Reflection turns experience into power, and insight into advantage. Action is non-negotiable. A warrior does not theorize endlessly. They execute relentlessly. Every goal, every aspiration, every principle becomes actionable. You structure your day, your energy, and your focus to align with your highest priorities. Inaction is the enemy of rebuilding. Each step taken in alignment with your purpose strengthens the foundation you are constructing. Each decisive choice reinforces your identity and diminishes the sway of doubt. Action is the bridge between intention and reality. Confidence is reconstructed, not assumed. It is not built on ego, vanity, or external validation. It is built on competence, integrity, and repeated victories over weakness. You trust your judgment because you have tested it. You honor your instincts because they have been refined by experience. You speak, act, and move with authority because your foundation is solid, internal, and unshakable. Confidence rooted in mastery endures where arrogance collapses. The contrast is clear. Fragility left you vulnerable. You were swayed by circumstances, emotions, and the presence or absence of others. Fortitude rebuilds you into someone impervious to external volatility. You learn to maintain composure when provoked, clarity when pressured, and focus when distracted. Strength is no longer a reaction. It is a state of being. The warrior remains steady, anchored in principles that do not bend to chaos. Accountability is essential. You own your actions, your failures, and your victories. You stop blaming the past, others, or circumstance. Every result is your responsibility. Accountability sharpens character. It clarifies direction. It ensures that each step forward is deliberate, informed, and aligned with your vision. A warrior's authority over life begins with accountability, the refusal to outsource responsibility or compromise self-mastery. Resilience becomes a natural rhythm. Challenges, setbacks, and opposition are no longer threats but tests. You meet difficulty with curiosity and strategy, not panic and avoidance. You rebuild emotional endurance alongside physical and mental strength. You cultivate patience, persistence, and perspective. In the face of adversity, you do not collapse. You adapt, overcome, and continue advancing. Resilience transforms obstacles into stepping stones and pressure into refinement. The warrior rebuilds identity. You redefine who you are in terms of values, habits, and purpose. Identity is not borrowed from labels, titles, or social approval. It is claimed through action, consistency, and self-respect. You become the person whose standards are unwavering, whose discipline is automatic, and whose presence commands respect without demand. Identity becomes armor, shield, and compass all at once. Vision is restored. Rebuilding is incomplete without clarity about direction. The warrior knows not only who they are but where they are going. They set objectives, map priorities, and chart the path with intention. Vision aligns effort with outcome, preventing energy from scattering in reaction or distraction. It allows the warrior to move decisively, with purpose and without hesitation. Each day is a building block toward the larger life you are creating. Power finally is internalized. The warrior no longer seeks validation, fearlessly navigates adversity, and trusts instinct. Strength is not performed for others. It is lived authentically, invisibly yet undeniably. Confidence is measured by competence, not applause. Discipline is measured by consistency, not external reward. Influence flows naturally from mastery, not intimidation. You have rebuilt yourself from the inside out, creating a foundation that no circumstance can shake. The reconstruction is ongoing. A warrior is never truly finished. Growth is continuous, refinement is constant, and alignment is perpetual. Every day presents the opportunity to strengthen, adapt, and evolve. You honor the journey, embrace discomfort, and remain vigilant over your mind, body, and spirit. You accept that rebuilding is a lifelong process, and you approach it with dedication, focus, and fierce determination. And so, you rise. Step by step, choice by choice, you rebuild the warrior within. You transform fragility into fortitude, fear into discipline, and chaos into purpose. You honor your scars, refine your strengths, and define your identity. You do not wait for recognition. You do not seek permission. You do not rely on luck. You stand, anchored in self-respect, armed with discipline, guided by clarity, and fueled by an unshakable warrior spirit. The world will continue to challenge you. Storms will return. Doubt will resurface. Pain may revisit. But you are no longer the person who bends to circumstance. You are the one who stands, unshaken, anchored in principle, equipped with the knowledge that every step, every choice, every action is an act of self-mastery. The warrior is rebuilt, strong, resilient, aligned, and unstoppable. Verb 11, the power of purpose. Strength without direction is like a ship without a rudder. You can endure storms, walk through fire, and rise from ashes. But without purpose, the victories feel hollow. You move, but you wander. You survive, but you drift. Endurance is noble, but meaning transforms endurance into mastery. Purpose gives your steps weight, your struggles clarity, and your pain significance. It turns raw resilience into power that not only sustains you but inspires others. Purpose begins quietly, often in the aftermath of suffering. It is the spark that whispers, "This happened for a reason." It is the realization that your scars, your struggles, your failures, they are not wasted. They are raw material for transformation. You endured, and that endurance can be redirected. You suffered, and that suffering can be transformed. Purpose is the bridge between survival and contribution, between pain and creation. It gives context to your challenges and turns chaos into a calling. Without purpose, even the strongest person falters. You may push forward, fight and resist, but the effort feels heavy, meaningless. Motivation wanes when direction is unclear. Energy dissipates when the destination is unseen. But with purpose, endurance becomes effortless. Obstacles transform into stepping stones. Fatigue becomes manageable. Pain becomes fuel. Purpose aligns every action, every choice, every sacrifice with a reason greater than the moment, a vision larger than yourself. The connection between struggle and meaning is undeniable. Every challenge you faced, every storm you weathered was practice for your calling. Adversity refines your abilities, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your resolve. You were preparing for something bigger than comfort, bigger than routine, bigger than survival. Purpose channels your resilience into deliberate action. It transforms aimless persistence into mastery over your life, your craft, and your impact. Consider the metaphor of the archer. Strength alone cannot hit the target. Power without aim is wasted. Precision without focus misses the mark. The arrow flies, but where it lands is unpredictable. Purpose is the target. It gives trajectory to your strength. It directs your energy. It ensures that every sacrifice, every step, every ounce of effort moves you closer to the vision you are destined to fulfill. Without it, you expend energy endlessly. With it, you achieve clarity, momentum, and significance. Purpose is not always visible at first. Often it emerges gradually, revealed through reflection, experience, and intuition. Sometimes it is born from pain. Sometimes it is uncovered through trial. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet conviction that resonates in your chest, persistent and undeniable. You recognize it when you feel aligned with action, energized by challenge and drawn toward contribution. It is not imposed. It is discovered and embraced, meaning transforms ordinary struggle into extraordinary impact. The same effort that feels exhausting without purpose becomes invigorating when it serves a vision. The long nights, the setbacks, the sacrifices, they all gain context. You endure not for mere survival, not for temporary reward, but because your actions contribute to something larger than yourself. Purpose creates a horizon, a compass, and a reason to continue even when the world grows heavy. Contrast becomes essential here. Aimless endurance feels like walking in fog, each step uncertain, each effort potentially wasted. Purpose-driven action feels like walking toward sunrise. Each step is deliberate, each effort aligned, each sacrifice meaningful. One is exhausting, one is energizing, one is reactive, one is proactive, one is survival, one is mastery. Purpose bridges the gap between mere existence and extraordinary living. Service is a natural extension of purpose. When your strength is connected to meaning, your resilience benefits not only yourself but others. Your pain becomes a tool to guide, inspire, or uplift. Your experience becomes a blueprint for those who face similar struggles. You transform personal adversity into collective advantage. Purpose transforms isolation into contribution, suffering into service, and endurance into impact. You are no longer enduring for yourself alone. You endure for the vision, for the mission, for the lives your presence touches. Clarity of purpose clarifies priorities. It allows you to discern what matters, what does not, and where to invest your energy. Every decision becomes easier. Every boundary becomes justified. Every action is aligned with your highest objective. Purpose prevents distraction. It prevents compromise. It prevents the depletion of time, focus, and energy on what does not serve the greater vision. When you are anchored in meaning, chaos cannot sway you and hardship cannot derail you. Vision strengthens resolve. Purpose is not only about surviving today, it is about shaping tomorrow. It is the mental map that guides you through uncertainty. It is the moral and strategic compass that ensures your efforts compound rather than dissipate. When setbacks occur, purpose provides context. When fear rises, purpose provides courage. When doubt clouds judgment, purpose restores clarity. Endurance without vision is mechanical. Endurance with vision is intentional, impactful, and transformative. Purpose also cultivates resilience in ways strength alone cannot. When suffering is tied to meaning, it becomes bearable. The heaviest burdens feel lighter when carried toward a goal that matters. The longest nights feel shorter when illuminated by conviction. Pain becomes a signal of progress, not a verdict of failure. Purpose infuses energy, hope, and clarity into even the most challenging circumstances. It transforms struggle from punishment into practice, from chaos into calling. Faith and purpose are intertwined. Faith gives you the courage to act without immediate results. Purpose gives you the reason to act. Faith allows you to step forward in darkness. Purpose ensures that every step has direction. Together they create momentum that is unstoppable. Every effort becomes meaningful. Every choice becomes strategic. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to affirm your commitment to something greater than yourself. Purpose is also about alignment. Strength without alignment can become destructive, ego-driven, or misdirected. Purpose aligns your effort with your values, your vision, and your highest potential. It ensures that resilience is constructive, endurance is strategic, and action is meaningful. When you act with alignment, you avoid wasted effort, confusion, and stagnation. You become a force not only capable of survival but capable of creation, impact, and legacy. The pursuit of purpose demands courage. It requires reflection, honesty, and willingness to confront what you truly value. It demands shedding distractions, detaching from what no longer serves, and committing to long-term growth over short-term comfort. It asks for perseverance, even when results are not immediate. It requires walking through discomfort, uncertainty, and doubt. Purpose is not passive. It is earned through consistent, deliberate, and courageous effort. Purpose also fuels hope. It is the antidote to despair, the light in darkness, and the compass in confusion. When life feels heavy, purpose reminds you why you endure. When motivation fades, purpose sustains. When fear rises, purpose guides. Purpose transforms uncertainty into opportunity, struggle into strategy, and endurance into victory. It connects the present moment to a future vision worth fighting for. Every act rooted in purpose compounds over time. The sacrifices you make, the boundaries you maintain, the effort you invest, the discipline you practice, all accumulate toward impact. Strength without purpose is finite. Strength with purpose multiplies, reaching beyond your individual life, touching others, and creating a legacy. Every step you take toward your calling reinforces your alignment, deepens your impact, and strengthens your resolve. Purpose transforms suffering into significance. Chaos becomes the path, not the obstacle. Pain becomes fuel, not punishment. Endurance becomes meaningful, not mechanical. Each hardship, each challenge, each sacrifice is framed by a vision that transcends the moment. You endure because it matters. You fight because it matters. You rise because it matters. Purpose gives your resilience weight, your strength direction, and your life meaning. And so you stand taller, stronger, and more certain. You walk not just to survive, but to create, to inspire, to impact. The storms you endured, the nights you faced alone, the battles within yourself, they all prepared you for this. Purpose is the arrow that guides the warrior's strength, the flame that illuminates the path, the reason that transforms endurance into mastery. With purpose, your struggle is no longer aimless. It is meaningful, deliberate, and transformative. You endure because your life has meaning. You persist because your vision is clear. You rise because your purpose demands it. And in that alignment, in that clarity, in that direction, you discover the full power of your resilience. A strength tethered to vision, a courage grounded in meaning, and a life built on intentional impact. The world may test you, but you will move forward with focus, conviction, and unwavering purpose. Chapter 12. Walking alone. Standing tall. Strength is often solitary. The moments that define you rarely happen in the presence of crowds. They happen when no one is watching, when applause is absent, and when validation comes only from within. You learn that the path of mastery is not crowded. It is walked alone, step by deliberate step. And though solitude may feel heavy at first, it is the crucible in which unshakable strength is forged. Walking alone is not loneliness. It is sovereignty. It is the freedom to chart your own course, unbound by expectation, opinion, or distraction. You no longer wait for approval, affirmation, or acknowledgement. You no longer measure your worth by the applause or criticism of others. You stand tall because you recognize your own authority, your own power, and your own value. The world may be indifferent, but your inner compass guides you with certainty. Approval seeking is a subtle trap. When your worth depends on others, your steps falter. You bend, hesitate, and compromise. You sacrifice clarity for comfort and conviction for acceptance. Strength tied to validation is fragile, conditional, and reactive. True power emerges when you stop asking for permission to exist. You stop measuring your life against external standards. You stop relying on applause to propel you forward. Self-validation becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. The hero's journey is inherently solitary. Those who achieve mastery do not always have companions at every turn. Some leave, some fall behind, and some never understand. But that is not your concern. Your concern is alignment. Alignment with purpose, principles, and the unwavering commitment to grow. You walk alone because your path demands it, because your vision requires focus, And because your growth cannot be outsourced, solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. Walking alone sharpens clarity. There is no noise to distract, no opinions to distort, no interference to confuse. You learn to listen to yourself deeply and honestly. You hear the subtle voice of instinct, the quiet whispers of intuition, and the steady rhythm of discipline. You learn to trust your judgment because it is tested in isolation. Every choice, every action, every decision becomes a reflection of your principles, untainted by external influence. Standing tall requires courage. Solitude is not always comfortable. There are moments when doubt creeps in, when the absence of validation feels like emptiness, when the world's indifference threatens to shake your resolve. But standing tall means embracing discomfort without surrender. It means holding your posture, both physically and mentally, in the face of uncertainty. It means believing in yourself when no one else does, acting when no one else will, and persisting because your inner authority demands it. Contrast illuminates the journey. Approval-seeking leaves you tethered, reactive, and fragile. Self-validation liberates you, empowers you, and strengthens your foundation. The difference is the difference between surviving by consensus and thriving by conviction. One is external, fleeting, and conditional. The other is internal, enduring, and unconditional. When you embrace self-validation, you step into sovereignty, and every step forward is a testament to your mastery. The rhythm of walking alone is meditative. Each step becomes deliberate, each breath intentional. You notice the ground beneath your feet, the sky above your head, and the strength in your limbs. Solitude teaches patience, reflection, and awareness. It allows you to measure progress by your own standards, rather than by comparison. It allows you to cultivate resilience that does not rely on comfort, companionship, or applause. You learn to be fully present in your own experience. Independence requires trust. You trust your instincts because they are refined by experience. You trust your choices because they are informed by reflection. You trust your capacity because you have tested it in moments when no one else would. Emotional sovereignty emerges when you no longer depend on the presence, opinion, or reaction of others. Your internal compass becomes the lodestar that guides every decision, every action, every step. There is pride in walking alone. Not arrogance, not vanity, but quiet, unshakable pride in knowing that your strength is self-made, your resilience is earned, and your purpose is internally guided. Pride in this sense is not boastful. It is a recognition of mastery over self. It is the satisfaction of knowing that you do not bend to circumstance or external expectation. You are responsible for your own growth, and you honor that responsibility fully. Solitude also cultivates perspective. When you walk alone, the distractions fade. The noise of opinion, gossip, and expectation dissipates. You see clearly what is essential, what aligns with your vision, and what strengthens your purpose. The path may feel empty, but emptiness reveals truth. It reveals the things that matter, the priorities that endure, and the actions that create impact. Clarity arises when the extraneous falls away. Emotional sovereignty is the next stage. You become the keeper of your own energy, the governor of your own emotions, and the master of your inner life. External events may trigger feeling, but they do not dictate your response. You learn to observe, assess, and act intentionally. You recognize that strength is cultivated internally, and that the external world is neutral. It neither grants power nor removes it. Power emerges from within. The hero who walks alone is often tested. There will be moments of doubt, temptation, and fatigue. There will be times when isolation feels unbearable. But these moments are the crucible of mastery. They forge endurance, patience, and clarity. They remind you that you are capable of moving forward even when comfort is absent, even when guidance is absent, and even when applause is absent. Walking alone teaches you that the greatest companion you can have is your own strength. Standing tall is a practice. It is a deliberate act each day to honor your values, maintain your boundaries, and trust your principles. It is choosing action over hesitation, conviction over doubt, and sovereignty over dependence. Each choice reinforces your internal authority and strengthens the foundation of your character. The taller you stand in solitude, the less sway the external world holds over your trajectory. Contrast shapes identity. Those who seek approval constantly bend, compromise, and chase external recognition. Those who stand tall in solitude cultivate independence, self-reliance, and alignment. The difference is evident in presence, posture, and action. Approval seekers react. Self-validators respond. Approval seekers rely. Self-validators create. Approval seekers stumble. Self-validators walk steadily, unwavering, and unstoppable. Walking alone teaches gratitude. Gratitude for your strength, for your clarity, and for your alignment. Gratitude for the absence that revealed the presence within. Gratitude for challenges that shaped resolve. You begin to see every solitary step as both a test and a blessing. You learn to value your own company, honor your own judgment, and celebrate your own victories. Gratitude solidifies the foundation of self-validation. The horizon becomes a symbol. You walk into it without certainty, without audience, without confirmation, and yet you move with confidence, clarity, and calm authority. Each step is deliberate. Each breath is intentional. Each thought is aligned with your values. Walking alone does not mean wandering aimlessly. It means moving with purpose, rooted in your own judgment and vision. The horizon represents not escape but mastery, a destination defined not by others, but by yourself. Your presence becomes your standard. No one else can define it. No one else can validate it. You cultivate an internal authority that is steady, unshakable, and enduring. Approval from others becomes incidental, not essential. Recognition is not required to move forward. Success is measured by alignment, integrity, and consistent action, the markers of a life built from the inside out. Walking alone is the practice of freedom. It liberates you from dependence, distraction, and compromise. It teaches you to navigate uncertainty with confidence. It reminds you that the weight of judgment does not rest on your shoulders unless you allow it. You become self-reliant, sovereign, and internally anchored. You discover that the power to create, endure, and thrive has always resided within. And so you walk, step by step, moment by moment, choice by choice. You may not have applause. You may not have approval. You may not have companions beside you, but you stand taller, stronger, and more certain than ever. You are not lonely. You are sovereign. You are not fragile. You are unshakable. You are walking alone, yet you are fully complete. You are walking alone, and you are standing tall. Chapter 13. The storm becomes you. You have faced the storms. You have walked through fire, endured darkness, and stood alone when no one else would. You have known fear, doubt, and exhaustion. You have felt the weight of life pressing down with relentless force. And now something has changed. The storm is no longer outside of you. The storm has become you. Its energy courses through your veins, shaping your rhythm, your resolve, and your presence. You are no longer at the mercy of chaos. You are the master of it. Transformation begins in recognition. You see how far you have come, not with arrogance, but with clarity. Every scar, every tear, every moment of despair was part of the alchemy that forged your resilience. Pain that once crushed you now fuels you. Fear that once paralyzed you now sharpens you. Weakness that once humiliated you now teaches you strategy, patience, and precision. You are no longer fragile. You are honed, tempered, and unstoppable. Chaos is no longer the enemy. It is a tool, a canvas, a proving ground. You move with it, not against it. You respond with precision, not reaction. You act with discipline, not desperation. Life will still throw unpredictability in your path, but now, unpredictability bends to your mastery. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate strength, clarity, and purpose. The storm that once threatened to destroy you is now the stage on which your power performs. The contrast is undeniable. You were once fragile, uncertain, and reactive. Now, you are resilient, deliberate, and commanding. You have shifted from surviving to thriving. You have moved from being buffeted by circumstance to shaping circumstance. The storms of life are no longer trials to endure. They are arenas to dominate. You are no longer a vessel of fear. You are a force of will. You are the storm incarnate, unbroken and alive. Discipline and chaos merge. You understand now that control does not mean stillness, and order does not mean stagnation. Strength is not rigid. It is adaptable. Power is not force. It is alignment. You flow with challenges, redirect their energy, and emerge not only unscathed but elevated. Each act of mastery becomes a declaration that your resilience is not situational, it is inherent. The storm respects you because you embody its energy, and you direct it with intention. Victory is internal before it is external. Others may not recognize your growth. The world may not validate your transformation, but validation is no longer needed. You stand because you have earned the right to stand. You act because you have earned the right to act. You speak because your voice is grounded in truth. You move because motion itself is mastery. The storm has become you, and you carry it with dignity, confidence, and purpose. Peace emerges within. Paradoxically, the more you embrace the storm, the calmer you become. Control is not the suppression of chaos. It is the harmonization with it. You no longer waste energy fighting what cannot be fought. You conserve, channel, and expand. Your mind is steady, your heart is aligned, and your presence is unshakable. Discipline is no longer a burden. It is your rhythm. Strength is no longer effortful. It is your state. Pain is no longer a chain. It is your catalyst. The epic nature of this transformation lies in its totality. It is not partial, not situational, not borrowed. It is absolute. Every lesson you learned, every moment of suffering, every step of self-mastery converges here. You embody the fusion of human struggle and divine resilience. You are grounded in reality, yet elevated beyond it. You are both student and master, warrior and sage, survivor and creator. The storm is not outside. It is integrated within your very being. Contrast defines the scope of your evolution. Human fragility once dominated your choices, reactions, and emotions. Divine resilience now informs every step, every decision, every breath. Where you were reactive, you are now proactive. Where you feared, you now trust. Where you faltered, you now rise. Every element of life that once threatened to fracture you has been transmuted into fuel for ascension. You are no longer molded by circumstance. You mold circumstance itself. Your presence commands space. Others feel it even if they do not understand. Strength has a gravity, and you now possess it. The storm moves through you, yet you are the axis, the center, the calm within its spinning force. You act decisively, think clearly, and respond intentionally. You carry momentum without aggression, authority without arrogance, and impact without ego. The world bends because you no longer yield. You shape it because you embody its force. Every challenge ahead is now a proving ground. Obstacles are no longer threats. They are invitations to demonstrate mastery. Complexity is not paralyzing. It is stimulating. Pressure is not threatening. It is clarifying. Adversity is not a barrier. It is a catalyst. You move through life like lightning through the sky, intense, illuminating, and unstoppable. You are the storm, and the storm is life, perfectly aligned with your will. Mastery is holistic. You integrate mind, body, and spirit into a singular expression of resilience. Emotional regulation, discipline, vision, and courage are not compartmentalized. They flow as one. You do not oscillate between fear and strength, chaos and control, doubt and certainty. You embody the spectrum. You are the alchemy of experience distilled into action. Every thought, choice, and movement reflects a state of completion that others may admire but cannot replicate. This transcendence is not performative. It is not for show. It is the result of relentless alignment, deliberate cultivation, and deep understanding. You have embraced every layer of life, the pain, the solitude, the struggle, and the discipline. And in embracing all of it, you have transformed what was once threatening into what is now empowering. You do not merely endure storms, you channel them, direct them, and emerge amplified by them. Your power is contagious. You may not intend to influence others, yet your transformation radiates. Presence is magnetic when grounded in mastery. Others sense strength, confidence, and resilience even if they cannot articulate it. Your example becomes a beacon, demonstrating that pain is not the enemy, chaos is not the adversary, and struggle is not defeat. It is training, refining, and awakening. You are living proof that the human spirit, when disciplined, aligned, and intentional, can transcend any storm. Balance is part of this mastery. You do not annihilate chaos, nor do you submit to it. You navigate, harmonize, and flow with it. You recognize that control is dynamic, not static. Influence is subtle, not forceful. Power is integrated, not imposed. In this equilibrium, you find peace, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. The storm becomes both teacher and tool, both challenge and resource, both energy and ally. The final contrast crystallizes the journey. You were once vulnerable, uncertain, and reactive. Now you are resilient, aligned, and proactive. Pain once dominated your mind and body. It now fuels your purpose and discipline. Fear once constrained you. It now sharpens insight. The chaos that once threatened to consume you now bends to your mastery. Human fragility has given way to divine resilience. You are complete, unshakable, and transcendent. And so you move forward. Each step resonates with confidence. Each breath carries calm power. Each action aligns with purpose and principle. You are the storm, you are the calm, and you are the force. Life may test you, challenge you, and confront you with new chaos, but you are no longer reacting. You are shaping. Pain, struggle, and uncertainty have become allies in your ascent. You are not merely surviving. You are commanding, creating, and mastering. The journey is eternal, but the transformation is irreversible. You cannot unlearn what you have become. You cannot forget the lessons you have integrated. You cannot return to the person who feared storms. You are now a conduit of resilience, a model of discipline and an embodiment of purpose. Your presence, your choices, and your power ripple outward, impacting the world in ways visible and invisible. And so, the storm becomes you, not in chaos but in command, not in fear but in mastery, not in reaction but in creation.